Could you be suffering from caregiver fatigue? Maybe you're in direct caregiving role, or maybe you oversee people who are in a caregiving role. Caregiving fatigue is real. This is Kathy Perry, corporate energy expert, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story with caregiver fatigue and how I understand what it takes to move through it. Please go ahead and subscribe. There's lots of tips, tools, and tactics on this channel just for those who might be serving in a caregiving role. Well, if you've watched some of my videos, you might know that I cared for my daughter who had severe special needs for over 20 years. She was infantile, completely relied on me and the help of some home health aides to care for her. And I can remember the frustration when sometimes it just was overwhelming. It is a lot to understand that everything that somebody relies on you for can begin to drain you. And so in this video, I want to take a quick look at what some of those signs might be, and then offer you a little bit of inspiration and support for what you can do when you start feeling worn down by all the responsibilities of caring for another human. Well, caregiver fatigue can sneak in a lot of different ways. First, it's just physical. There's a physicality that comes when you're caring for another human. And you have to take care of your body as well so you can be physically able to care for them. There's that emotional fatigue where it's just like, oh, how many more days can I do the same task? When I had my daughter, I fed her 4 times a day, and it was very time consuming, and I made all that food. And it was just difficult, and that started to wear me down. And then there's just this mental fatigue that can sneak in. You start to second guess yourself. Am I doing all that I can? Is this the right thing for this person? So caregiver fatigue sneaks in a lot of different ways. Physical, emotional, mental, just task-oriented, time. But what can you do when you start to feel some of that overwhelm? Well, I, for one, can say, I'd have a little mini meltdown. I'd shed some tears and say, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And that's normal. That's a normal thing that sneaks into us because caring for another human brings out all of that in us. A few of the other things that you can do, obviously, seek some support. After a few years of doing a lot of the caregiving on my own with 3 other young children, I sought some support. There are systems out there. If your organization is not supporting you, please go to a manager or regional ops and say, how can we get more support for those in direct caregiving? If you happen to be in one of those leadership roles, please always be thinking that this can sneak in and you can lose great people because of this type of fatigue. Next, delegate some tasks. You don't always have to do everything. There's family members, there are other services that can come in. Delegate some things. I used to let my own kids come in and say, hey, could you please watch your sister for 10 minutes while I run up here? And they were happy to do that. Next, set some boundaries. Set some boundaries about how much you give. I know sometimes we take on so much and think we have to be there all the time. But you can set some boundaries around your time by saying, I need this break, this pause from 1 to 2, or no, that kind of task is something I'm not going to do. I'm going to find someone else to do it. Now, if you were in a caregiving role within a senior living facility or a facility for people who might need extra care, seek that support from someone else. If you're starting to feel burned out, go to them, let them know. Use some specific examples of, when I'm on a shift for 10 hours and, I have to come back the next day, or I'm told I'm staying over, it just becomes too much. I need a break. And that's the next tip. Ask for some respite time for yourself. You need to re-energize. You need to recharge. You're not going to be able to be there in the role of caregiver if you're not re-energized. And finally, look for some professional support. There are all kinds of support groups. There are caregiving newsletters. There are things that you can join so you can have that support and talk to people who know and understand you. Now, if you are a director of a facility, I would highly suggest that you have 1 or 2 of these each month. Just anyone who's serving in a frontline caregiving role, if they want to have a place for support, make that available. Bring in a mental health expert to answer questions. You can do meditation for one of those. You can go through all kinds of ways to de-stress, but build that into your culture, that you understand that this can be difficult to care for someone else. So I hope those tips, tools, and tactics help you. It is an honor to care for another human being. We can't diminish what that means to them, to their family, but you also have to take care of you. So this is Kathy Perry, corporate energy expert. Go ahead, subscribe, watch some more videos, because I want to help energize you, empower you up so you can serve with joy.